Welcome to another episode of Doors of the Universe podcast. Today is February 3rd. We're recording today. We are 1 month into 2025. A little bit over 1 month into 2025. I originally had planned on releasing one in January. Life did what life does, and here we are now. I'm going to try and get two out to you this month. No promises. Every day is a new day, an exciting adventure here in the current United States of America. So, what are we here for today? What's going on? I am not going to focus on everything going on outside of this podcast right now, because you know what? This might be your little break from everything, and I hope that we can enjoy this time together. So there's the obvious things we want to talk about, like this sweet shirt that I got from, which I've had this shirt for a while, but I don't think I've ever worn it on the podcast. It's made by the person that did the artwork for the podcast, and that is Ace Wild. He tattoos out of Black Magic Tattoo in Des Moines, Iowa. Ace has done the majority of my tattoos. So if you're in Des Moines, Iowa, go check out Ace Wild, or follow him on Instagram and all the socials, wherever you're at. I know he's on Instagram for sure, but Ace Wild with an E. But yeah, look at this thing. It's good stuff. That's some quality stuff there. That's his brand is Harm None Press, which you can also find on social media. Love his stuff, love him as a person, love everything he does. But yeah, if you can support Ace in any way, please do. Great guy. Yeah, just putting out good stuff, good tattoos, good clothing. But yeah, let's just hop into this episode, because I don't know how long I've been researching this, but longer than I should have to get an episode out. Let's put it that way. Today we're heading back to my homeland of the Midwestern U.S. We are doing a dive into the strange and fascinating world of American folklore to explore the legend of the Hodag, a creature that captured the imagination of Wisconsinites for over a century. We'll uncover its origins, its role in local culture, and why the bizarre beast continues to be a beloved symbol of the North Woods. And on that note, Northwoods, which I didn't realize till recently, but Northwoods Dental in Portland, Oregon, they are not a sponsor of the show. Ace is not a sponsor of the show. I just love giving shout outs to people I appreciate and enjoy. Northwoods Dental, if you're looking for a dentist, Northwoods Dental. On that note, what is the Hodag? Have you heard the Hodag before? Is this your first time hearing that word uttered? Well, imagine a creature that dwells in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean, has teeth the length of a redwood, consumes 2 tons of sea life each day, and makes a great white shark look like your favorite household goldfish. Well, that sounds terrible and is not what we're going to be talking about today. That doesn't exist as far as I know, and I hope it doesn't exist, because that would be more nightmare fuel for my already intense fear of the sea. The Hodag isn't a lot better, but it's not in the ocean, so that already makes it better. In American folklore, the Hodag is a fearsome critter resembling a large bullhorn carnivore with a row of thick curved spines down its back. The Hodag was said to be born from the ashes of cremated oxen, as the incarnation of the accumulation of abuse the animals had suffered at the hands of their masters. The history of the Hodag is strongly tied to Rhinelander, Wisconsin, where it was claimed to have been discovered. It may also have ties to Wisconsin's Native American stories of water panthers and other spirit beings. The Hodag has figured prominently in early Paul Bunyan stories. So we've done a couple episodes with similar backgrounds. Lumberjack. Honestly, a lot of American folklore came from lumberjacks in the U.S. as they were going through and settling new places, getting lumber. We had done the gumbaroo early on in this podcast. That was I think that was within like the first 5 episodes I did here. And more recently we did the squonk. These are lumberjack tales. I really enjoy folklore, American folklore, and lumberjacks in general. So doing the squonk episode and talking about Paul Bunyan had sparked some interest in a core memory that I had of a cartoon when I was a child that covered Paul Bunyan, John Henry, Johnny Appleseed, and I feel like Pecos Bill, but I'm not entirely sure. It's fun stories talking about how the landscape of the U.S. was formed. But yeah, it was, so I had to do a little searching, do a little digging to find it. But the cartoon I was thinking of was Disney's American Legends. Actually, it looks like Casey Jones is on there as well. But it's narrated by James Earl Jones, or hosted by him, because he shows up in between each story, which I did not remember James Earl Jones being in it, but was happily surprised when I found that out. So I got it on Vudu, or Fandango at home, I believe it's called now. But yeah, Disney's American Legends. If you haven't seen it, check it out. So let's talk about the beginnings of the Hodag. In 1893, newspapers reported the discovery of a Hodag in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. The articles claimed the Hodag had the head of a frog, the grinning face of a giant elephant, thick short legs set off by huge claws, the back of a dinosaur, and a long tail with spears at the end. Sounds formidable. I will admit I would not want to run across that while I was in the woods. These reports are the beginning of where a man by the name of Eugene Shepard, a Wisconsin timber cruiser and prankster, comes into the picture. In 1893, Shepard claimed to have found the creature in the woods near Rhinelander, Wisconsin. He even staged a dramatic capture, complete with a photo of the beast. Beginning in 1895, illustrations from this capture were used in advertisements for the Centralia Lumber Company. Centralia. Eugene Shepard rounded up a group of local people to capture the animal. The group reported that they needed to use dynamite to kill the beast. A photograph of the remains of the charred beast was released to the media. It was, and I quote, "the fiercest, strangest, most frightening monster ever to set razor-sharp claws on the earth. It became extinct after its main food source, all white bulldogs, became scarce in the area." And also I was informed that only on Sundays is when the Hodag would eat the bulldogs. The creature was so successful that stories of Rhinelander's famous monster traveled nationwide. They even appeared in science journals. Bless you, early America. But yeah, all white bulldogs. Very specific diet, very... apparently that was something that was available until it wasn't, which is why the Hodag went away, because they ran out of all white bulldogs to eat. Interesting. Shepard claimed to have captured another Hodag in 1896, and this one was captured alive. According to Shepard's reports, he and several bear wrestlers placed chloroform on the end of a long pole, which they worked into the cave of the creature where it was overcome. He displayed this Hodag at the first Oneida County Fair. Thousands of people came to see the Hodag at the fair or at Shepard's display in a shanty at his house. It seems like you probably don't want to keep this creature, this Hodag, in your house, but Shepard is a much braver man than myself, apparently. Having connected wires to it, Shepard would occasionally move the creature, which would typically send the already skittish viewers fleeing the display. As newspapers locally, statewide, and then nationally began picking up the story of the apparently remarkable living creature, a small group of scientists from the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., announced they'd be traveling to Rhinelander to inspect the apparent discovery. Their mere announcement spelled the end, as Shepard was then forced to admit that the Hodag was a hoax, but that didn't stop people from wanting to see it. The town of Rhinelander adopted the Hodag as its mascot. The Hodag is featured in a couple of books we've talked about before, with a few other creatures we've discussed, including the squonk and the gumbaroo, which, as I said earlier, I've made episodes about those two creatures. If you haven't given them a listen, I highly recommend checking them out, because why wouldn't you want to learn more about these fearsome critters? The book I'm referring to is Fearsome Critters, is where I've got the following reading from. Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwood is another one that has a lot of these folklore, American folklore creatures in it. It's something like, I don't think it's not, it's something I think if I had kids, which I don't plan on having kids, but if I did, this is a book that I would probably read to them. It's got illustrations, and the descriptions of them are about a page long each. There's usually a picture and then a page describing the creature. I think it would be a great fairy tale type book for your kids. If you have kids, you want to expose them to the wonderful world of cryptids and American folklore. Both these books are good choices, and both are actually free online, which I will include a link to the book online, but I do also own copies of both of them, because why wouldn't you? It's nice to have a book. Also, if you don't have a library card, go get a library card. This is going to be a little side spill here. If you don't have a library card, get a library card. Libraries are important and provide a lot of resources to people who may not have access to certain items otherwise, including internet, books. It's just a great resource, and even if you don't use the library card, you can, it shows that people are still getting library cards and utilizing the libraries, and they are a necessary thing for us to have. There's also the Libby app, which I think I've talked about before, where you can, again, not a sponsor, but just a great resource. The Libby app, you get a library card, you add your library card to the Libby app, and you can check out books, you can check out ebooks, you can check out audiobooks. It works the same way as if you went to the library. You would get it for a certain amount of time, and then you have to return it. If nobody else is in line, nobody else has reserved it, you can keep it for longer. Either way, great free resource. Libby's free. Library cards are free. Go support your local library. Alright, that said, so from Fearsome Critters, the Hodag, Deformis corniger lacrimens is the scientific name for it that's included in the reading. Reported in Maine many years past, and in 1895 captured and positively identified near Rhinelander, Wisconsin, by Mr. E.S. Shepard. The Hodag is indubitably one of the best known of the larger and more dangerous wood varmints. It is now very rare, probably owing to the increased use of lemons in cookery, for Hodags and citrus fruits are in the same ratio as wolves and wolfbane, probably more so. A distressingly ugly animal, the novelty head wears a pair of prominent, bulging eyes and two heavy lateral horns, something after the fashion of a male stag beetle. The claws are stout and powerful. The tail carries a terminal hook, while a row of jagged stegosaurian dorsal spines complete the picture. The smaller front teeth were formerly often used for umbrella handles. The Hodag is fully aware of his upsetting appearance and is given to frequent fits of bitter weeping. I once had a handful of the extremely rare crystallized Hodag tears, But an inquisitive lady friend collected them, believing them to be fine amber. She had them strung into a neck yoke, and then went and spilled a Tom Collins on herself. Of course, the lemon juice dissolved them instantly. This fellow can't endure being laughed at. When angry, he is fierce and dangerously aggressive, but a pair of lemons is ample protection against a whole herd. And there you have, from Fearsome Critters in 1939. Yeah, smaller front teeth were formerly often used for umbrella handles. News to me, did not know that. There is a lot to learn about early American history. Now you know. When they cry, squonk, its other wood friend also tends to be a little bit more on the emotional side and cries quite often. But the Hodag tears crystallize, and it's good to know, but don't go spilling a Tom Collins on it, because the citrus will destroy them. And here we do learn that it is not just one animal. There's not just the Hodag. There is a group of Hodag, because a pair of lemons is ample protection against an entire herd. Good to know. Good to know. So, yeah. In pop culture, the Hodag became the official symbol of Rhinelander, Wisconsin. It is the mascot of Rhinelander High School and lends its name to numerous Rhinelander area businesses and organizations, including the annual music festival Hodag Country Festival. The city of Rhinelander's website called Rhinelander the home of the Hodag, a larger-than-life fiberglass sculpture of a Hodag created by Tracy Goberville, a local artist, resides on the grounds of the Rhinelander Area Chamber of Commerce, where it draws thousands of visitors each year. Rhinelander Ice Arena houses two Hodags, one a full-body creature just inside the entrance, and the other one an oversized head that blows smoke and has red eyes that lights up, located in the same corner just off the ice. There is an episode of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated where the Hodag appears, and the episode is titled The Hodag of Horror. Rubus Hagrid received a Hodag during the 1988-1989 school year. A friend gifted Hagrid the Hodag after it was terrorizing their moon calves. So the Hodag is showing up all around us. When we look at this, we wonder maybe why the Hodag has gained the notoriety it has and been able to survive and endure as long as it has. The Hodag is more than just a mythical creature. It's a symbol of community pride and playful spirit of the Northwoods. It reminds us of the power of folklore to bring people together and spark the imagination. Fun fact, did you know there's even a Hodag-shaped ice cream treat in Rhinelander? That's how much locals love this creature. So that is all the information I have on the Hodag. Have you heard of the Hodag before today? What's your favorite mythical creature in folklore, American or otherwise? I love to hear about folklore. I love to discover new folklore around the world. I think there's a ton of amazing folklore all over the world. And it's really cool to me to learn about other cultures' folklore and where it comes from, and if it's still a part of their culture today, which a lot of people, the folklore still carries on today. Like, there's still stories they tell their children and things. It's always interesting to me when multiple different cultures have similar folklore that originated in times when people couldn't communicate as easily as we can today. I can easily hop on an app and talk with somebody on the other side of the world right now and learn about their culture, their folklore. And I hope you are. I hope you are learning about the cultures, folklore, everything about every other countries. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot that's opening up more recently. But yeah, learn about other cultures. Don't get stuck here. Either way, what I was mainly saying was how it's interesting how cultures that couldn't converse have similar folklore. It always makes me wonder if some things weren't, actually there and not just folklore. And there's been a lot of creatures that have gone extinct that if we saw them today, we would probably also think it is something that is folklore worthy. I always go back to the Titanoboa. It was a very large snake. I can't remember. I think it was over 50 feet. But we didn't discover it till 2019. This is something that was living on this planet at one time. And yeah, it's I want to believe. I really do. There's so many cool and interesting parts of folklore that I don't even know about yet, and I'm excited to learn more about. But yes, please learn about other cultures. Try to experience other cultures when you can. We're all in this together. It'd be good to know about your fellow human beings, and we all got to make it work together. So yeah, what is your favorite folklore, American or otherwise? Let me know on the social media. You can find all my socials on the link on most of my social media accounts. It is linktr.ee/DOTU podcast. And on that note, I am no longer going to be on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. It just wasn't the most engaged platform, and haven't really been a fan of utilizing it since Elon took over and started making some changes. Not my favorite platform, so I'm not going to be utilizing that anymore, but I am on Blue Sky, which is a great alternative to X. So if you haven't checked out Blue Sky, I highly recommend it. I feel like a lot of people that I like and follow are making the transition over to Blue Sky. The link for that is on the link tree, along with my new Red Note little Red Book account. I am still on TikTok for the time being, but again, with some of the recent changes, maybe moving away from that platform as well. We'll see. Who knows? This is just a podcast. This is all I do. I have fun. We have fun. We come here. We talk about things that I don't think will get censored. I hope don't get censored. But I feel like some changes may be happening that will make me move away. Also, depending on who owns TikTok. But let's not get into that. Let's get into remembering that it's great to be able to sit down and listen to this podcast and explore new things that you may have heard before and want just a little refresher on, or maybe something brand new to you. If you enjoy this podcast, let your friends know. Share it with a friend. Easy to find. I'm on YouTube. Some people want videos. Some people want audio. Whatever's clever. You do you. As always, thank you so much for listening and for tuning in and being a part of this podcast with me. Without you, the listener, there's not really much of a reason for me to have this podcast. So thanks for tuning in. With that, I'll say keep an eye to the sky. And if you happen to be making your way through the woods of Rhinelander, Wisconsin, make sure you're keeping a couple citrus-based items on you, just in case. I'll see y'all next time.